Welcome back, everyone, to your favorite Klaviyo email marketing YouTube channel. My name is Philip Moldavano. Today, we are going to be doing something a little bit different today. We're going to be doing a live mini audit on a totally random e-commerce brand. I have no affiliation with this brand. They are not one of my clients. I have never heard of them before as of maybe like 3 or 4 days ago before I did this. So I'm going to kind of walk through. I'm going to sign up for their list, take a look at what they got going on in that welcome email and in their sign up form. And I also redesigned their welcome email. Their welcome email, for lack of a better term, was not great. Okay, it was losing them a lot of sales, a lot of very obvious mistakes with it that were losing them conversions, which I'll go over before I show you the email. So I actually had my design team create them a brand new email that I'm actually going to send to them like after I post this video for them to keep for free. And it's good content. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Now, if it's your first time on the channel, welcome. If it's your second, third, fourth, fifth, 50th time, welcome back. It's great to have you. Why should you listen to me? My name is Philip. I have over $25 million in added email revenue through Klaviyo specifically. Actively at the time of recording this video, I manage over 30 different 6, 7, 8, and even 9-figure e-commerce brands who are doing over $100 million per year. And we send millions of emails every single month. I think I know a thing or two about what makes a good email strategy and what makes a high converting email and a high converting strategy. This right here is an example, a screenshot from one of my clients' accounts. I have plenty more, so just DM me or leave a comment on whatever you want to see specifically. But this account's doing 70% of their business all through Klaviyo, all from Klaviyo, up 400%. So with that being said, let me get into the brand. I'm going to introduce who it is. They're called Maven. Okay. So for some reason, when I'm on their site, I'm unable to, my camera just disappears. So you're going to have to bear with me for that. I don't think many of you care, to be honest with you, that my camera won't be there. But the brand is called Maven. Oh, look, there it is. It looks like they're selling I don't want to call it blowtorches, but like handheld blowtorches for steak and for food. I'm assuming you can probably use these for smoking too. I'm not sure if that's like what they're really intended for, but that's kind of their main purpose, is like a cooking blowtorch for searing, caramelizing, and just like baking needs in general. Okay. So I signed up for their list. I have their welcome email right here. Okay, which obviously is not great for obvious reasons, not just from a design perspective, but also just from a conversion standpoint. I'll talk about that. And then I also want to show you their sign-up form. So first things first, let me pull up their sign-up form. So I'm going to go to an incognito tab so that their form will appear. And let's take a look at it. Let me walk you through kind of like what's going good, what's going bad. Okay, so first of all, that was a bit quick. You'll notice it took probably about 2 seconds or so for it to appear. I'm not a huge fan of that. You don't want your form to deploy instantly, but you also don't want it to wait like 20 seconds because by that point, a lot of people are just bouncing off of the page. Typically, a sweet spot is around 4 to 6 seconds. I would say like 4 to 8, depending on the brand. If you're selling super, super high ticket products, I'm talking like $3,000 plus, you probably want to wait at least like 15 seconds because at that point, the sales cycle is a lot longer. People need more trust building, more education. They need to see more of you before you just ask them for their info, right? So that's a special case for high AOV brands. This brand doesn't have a super high AOV. I mean, let's like take a look at like, why can't I click that? Let's see. Yeah, right. Okay, look, 24, 43, like these are not high AOV products. These are lower ticket products. So for them, I really would not go above like 8 seconds, but I would probably start with around 6. That was a little bit too quick. The reason this is a big deal, you might be wondering like, oh, Phil, it's just literally a 2-second delay. Like, why does that matter? Well, I've tested this and literally just changing the delay by a few seconds, it can drastically increase submission rate. Now, it's not going to take it from a 3% submit rate to a 15% submit rate. Of course not. But it can genuinely like move it up a couple points, literally just by changing the number in the targeting window on Klaviyo by 2-3 seconds, right? Because I mean, number one, it's just kind of annoying when like you instantly land on a page and it just instantly deploys. Like no one likes that. It's just kind of annoying. So there's that aspect of it. But then the second aspect of it that people don't really realize is that people just aren't really receptive to it when they just land on the site and instantly you're asking for their info. It just hurts the user experience. It's a bit annoying. And people aren't really internalizing it because they're just kind of halfway over to the X button. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that they're not running a micro commitment. If you've watched any of my YouTube videos, you know what a micro commitment is. I'll show you another one of my clients here just so I can show you an example of the micro commitment and how we're doing it for them, which by the way, I won't reveal their exact submission rate, but it's absolutely crushing. So notice how we're not actually asking for the email address up front, right? We're simply saying, hey, do you want to enter the giveaway? They don't want to do a discount. We've actually, funny enough, and this is why testing is so important. Again, if you see my videos, you know I'm a big proponent of testing. We actually figured out with this brand that, because we were running a 10% off, this giveaway, this enter to win giveaway, actually does better than a 10% off. It actually does better than giving away $1 off incentive, right? Every brand is totally different. If we didn't test that and we just assumed, oh, 10% usually works best, we never would have figured that out, right? So even the lesson in that, for those of you watching, for those e-com brand owners watching, which is who the channel is intended for, the lesson in that is that you should be testing everything, even if you don't think yourself that it's going to do much, right? Or it's going to make a difference, right? Because a lot of the times it will. Okay. So anyways, I'm going off track here. Notice how we're not asking for email up front versus Maven. They're just straight up asking for email. Like as soon as it lands, or as soon as the form deploys, they're just instantly, hey, give me your email, right? You want to ask them a low commitment question first, warm them up, get them engaged. Once they click it, then you can go ahead and ask them for their email address, right? So you're kind of lowering that guard a bit. And we've seen pretty much, again, testing is really important because this might not work for you. But literally, I would say 97% of brands, a micro commitment will increase the amount of emails you're collecting. So it's pretty much a no-brainer, to run one. But yeah, that's another thing there. This right here, I would remove, right? Be the first to know about promotions and new drops. I honestly would just remove that. It's not very important. It does nothing here to drive the actual submission forward. Any text on the screen, look at it. If it's not driving the submission and the sale forward, remove it. There's no point in having it. You want your forms to be as decluttered as possible. They should be very straightforward, very straight to the point, extremely, extremely clear on what they are getting. You have to understand people have super short attention spans. They're in and out really quickly. They're halfway to the X button before the form's done deploying. The offer needs to be the only thing they lay their eyes on. And when you confuse people like this and you have all this different text, you're risking people just kind of reading this and nothing else. So this should be much bigger and this should be gone. And you should have a micro commitment. And the form itself should honestly be a little bit bigger. I'm not a huge fan of like full screen pop-ups. They're really annoying and they hurt the user experience even more than if it fired instantly. But I would make it a little bit bigger. It doesn't take up much real estate on the page right now. I'm not saying make it huge, but I would expand it maybe like by 1.5x, make it like this big or something like that. Because the more real estate you do take up, usually the better the submission rate is. And typically the full screen pop-ups do really well, but not every brand owner really likes them, right? If excuse me, in a perfect world, we could just put full screen pop-ups on every site. But some site traffic is very particular. Some site traffic doesn't like it. It's something you have to test. It's something we test with all of our clients. But this is a little bit small. I would make that a lot bigger. So that's the sign up form there. Now I signed up for their list, and this is a huge issue right here. Let me show you what's going on here. Okay, so I signed up for their list, and I got this email, basically asking me to confirm my subscription. So this I can't even stress to you guys how often I see this. If you're watching this video and you own an e-commerce brand, which again is who the channel is for, who my videos are for, who I help with my agency. If you're watching this, I want you after this video to go to your main list in Klaviyo and make sure that you go to settings and you go to consent of that list. Make sure you don't have what's called double opt-in. Make sure you don't have that checked. You should have single opt-in checked, because if you do have it checked, what's going to happen is every time someone signs up for your list, they are not going to be sent your welcome email. They're going to be sent this email asking them to confirm their subscription. And if I don't go back and click, yes, I want to subscribe again, and I don't manually click it and sign up a second time, I'll never be added to your list, and you will not be allowed to email me, even though I already gave you my email here. You see what I mean? You're just adding more steps. You're adding more friction for the shopper, and it just makes no sense. Like you can turn it off. It's just on by default in Klaviyo settings. Every time you make a new list, for some reason, Klaviyo just turns it on, right? And you really just don't need to do that. Delete it. Always turn it off. I've seen literal submission rates almost double by just turning it off, literally clicking a few buttons. You're adding so much more friction. You want them to just instantly get that welcome email, instantly get their code, okay? Because the email goes to spam a lot of the times. People forget. There's a million reasons, right? But yeah, always turn that off. Now, looking at their, okay, I got 2 welcome emails actually. So here's the first one. Oh, whoops, my mic just got hit there. Hope you guys didn't hear that. But anyways, here is the first welcome email for obvious reasons, not even from a design perspective. Like anyone, a monkey could look at this and be like, oh, that doesn't look great, right? No offense to you guys, Maven, if you're watching this. I'm trying to help you guys, so don't shoot me. But it's just from a design perspective, it's not great, right? Like there's no real colors. Like their branding is really sleek. Like I like their colors, very sleek. I'm not a designer, so I'm not good at like describing the visual aesthetics and things, but you guys get the vibe I'm going for here, right? Aesthetically very pleasing, very minimalistic, very sleek looking. And where was I? This email just looks very transactional. It almost looks like an order confirmation email, something like that, even though it's a welcome email. This is the first opportunity that you have with the customer to sell them and to convince them into becoming a customer. And it just looks like this. So that's the most obvious thing. That's the elephant in the room. Anyone could say that. And obviously I have a whole nother email that I designed for them. But aside from that, there's also a ton of different characteristics of this email that are losing sales and that are just kind of hurting conversion, right? So first of all, their discount code, which is the most important part of the email. Like, people are signing up to get that code. That's what people care about. They honestly, like, they don't really care about much else in this welcome email, in the first email, right? That's what they signed up for. That's the latest action they've taken. So this 10% off needs to be the first thing they see. And it should be very, very clear to them, like extremely clear to them. They shouldn't have to read. They shouldn't have to look for it. They should open the email and instantly see their code in a nice big box with a nice big call to action, instantly telling them exactly what they're getting. And they're doing like a decent job of it, but it's just the white background is not great. There's a lot of text here. I have to kind of sift through it. They tried to do it by just kind of like bolding this text, but I'm talking like it should be in a big box. It should all be centered, and there should be no other text there. Like, there should be no, as a special welcome gift, enjoy, thank you for joining us on this exciting journey, right? Like, that's this right here you should be saying in the heading, and then everything else should be all centered around that code. So that's the first thing, and I'll show you how I fixed that in the actual email I built them. It's a night and day difference. This right here is kind of a strange section. It almost looks like a dynamic product section, like that you'd put in an abandoned cart email or something like that. I didn't look at this product, so it's kind of strange here. This is a welcome email. Normally you put something like this in an abandoned cart email, but anyways, it's good they're showing a product. You want to show more than one. They have a lot of different products to offer. They have different, let's actually take a look. Let's peruse around their site together. Yeah, look at all the stuff they have, right? Tons of different products. And they're only showing me one. What if I don't like this one? Well, I'm not going to click, and I'm going to actually delete the email instantly, right? It's not going to speak to me. Okay. You need to show as many products as possible. Ideally at least 3, but honestly, like around 4. Now, if you have a ton of products, you can do categories instead of products, like men's, women's, shoes, scarves, whatever, if you're like apparel brand. But it doesn't really matter. You can do products or categories, pique people's interest, and then every product you show should have its own respective call to action. So that's what we're doing there. That's what they're not doing there. They kind of have a review section here, but it's very like interesting the way they portrayed it. It's not easy to read at all. I almost didn't even know it was a review section. Like, it's just kind of antiquated the way they're displaying it, but it is good they're having it. Social proof is really important. Again, this person just signed up. Like, this is your opportunity to kind of like schmooze them a little bit, right? Explain why you're better. Explain what sets your products apart. Explain the quality of your products, how you guys started. Show social proof and you show other people with your products enjoying them, right? So I'll show you how I streamline this right here. They have some risk reversals here, which are good. I don't see anything about what sets them apart, though. I don't see any like unique selling propositions. It's pretty much just like, here's your code. Here's what they're doing right now is pretty much like, hey, welcome. Here's your code, but like not here's your code, because it's kind of hard to find and it's very cluttered. And then here's a random product we pulled from our site. And then here are 2 random reviews that are super long and formatted super weirdly. And then here's an image of a product again. You know what I mean? It's just kind of strange. So let me show you how I actually fixed that and what we did, right? Boom. So check it out. This is the email we made them. Let me move this aside. This is the email that my team designed for them. Okay. Night and day difference, as you can see from their email versus our email. And why is my camera disappearing? I want my camera. There we go. So let me kind of walk you through step by step this email. Okay. Basically exactly what I just mentioned to you, right? So very clear heading, very clear intro. Welcome to Maven Torch. Here's 10% off. Here's a nice big box around the code so you do not miss it. And here's a nice big call to action. You know exactly what to do. There is no clutter here. And it's very easy to figure out where my code is, what it is, and then what I'm supposed to do next. So that's the first thing. You'll also notice the code is different. Welcome XV88. We are no longer saying welcome 10. That's one thing I forgot to mention when I actually was going through the email. Never use a code like welcome 10 or welcome 20, right? It's very generic. It's very boring. Shoppers nowadays are becoming more sophisticated. They know when a code is generic. So later on in the flow, I'm sure Maven is probably doing this. Later on in the flow, when you say, hey, you have 24 hours left, or hey, this is your last chance to claim, when your code is welcome 10, the shopper knows you're lying. They're going to call your bluff. They know you're totally lying. They know the code's not going anywhere. They're sophisticated, right? When you say welcome XV88, for example, the code appears as if it was a unique code. It appears as if it was made specifically for that shopper. And so when you say 24 hours left, they're going to take you much more seriously. You better believe it. And we've actually seen, funny enough, literally just changing the discount code into something more specific and kind of like making it appear as a unique code can drastically increase conversion rate, right? So that's another thing we did there. We have another cool hero section here explaining or not explaining, but showing the different products, right? Again, showing, very visual emails. There's like no visuals in this email. It's all text, right? Just black and white. It's very boring. So we fixed that there. Cool little background here in the hero section as well. Here we're showing some different products. So Turbo Phantom, Alpha Mini Transparent, and the Tuner 5-pack, giving people tons of different options to pique their interest. Notice how the products we chose here are not similar to one another. They're pretty different, just to kind of cover all ends of the spectrum and make sure that the chances of someone seeing a product they like out of these 4 is very high, right? And each of them, like I said, has their own respective call to action. Here we have a kind of like section explaining the unique selling propositions. So what sets them apart? Why are they different? Keep in mind, we had no brand assets, no guidelines to pull from. Like, again, we don't work with Maven, right? So I didn't have any like assets. I didn't have any fonts or brand books to work with. Neither did my designers. So we kind of just freestyled it. So like this could be honestly way better, but it's a great first start. But yeah, unique selling proposition, explaining what's different about them. Why should someone buy from you as opposed to anybody else? Because if you don't include that stuff, you're honestly just kind of like another, people can kind of treat you as a commodity when you don't explain that you're not. So you always want to make that clear. And then we have social proof and reviews here. A lot shorter reviews, a lot easier to digest, a lot easier to read rather than just kind of listing out a bunch of things and putting text everywhere and making it all, super text heavy. But that's what you want to show there. And then another call to action section here with another image here, just kind of really showing off the build quality of the products, and your footer with your social links here. Okay. So that is the email. Again, could be way better, honestly. Like our team are killers. And if we had lifestyle photos and images, we can make these a lot better. But not to mention these still look great. And I guarantee you, if you're watching this, Maven, and if you know Maven, send it to them because it will make them a lot more money. I guarantee you, if they were to plug this welcome email in and run a split test, my email versus their email, I guarantee you my email will at least, like bare minimum, double the revenue of this one right here. Guarantee it. Same discount code and everything, just strictly off of the layout and the design of it, just conversion, from a conversion standpoint. So yeah, that's really it, guys. Kind of a shorter video. I don't know if it was too short, but kind of a more simple video. I wanted to just kind of highlight that redesign that we made, give you guys some insight as to like what I look at when I do kind of like a mini audit on a brand. Obviously, and I might make a video on this too. Let me know if you guys want to see it. I can do a full video on like inside of an actual Klaviyo account, like doing an audit on a live Klaviyo account as well, walk you through that process. But I figured this one would be fun to do and also show like the visual components of the actual design. But yeah, let me know what topics you guys want to see next. And I have to say it as well. The one time I plug myself, obviously my agency works strictly with e-commerce brands. I firmly believe we're easily one of the highest quality email agencies in the space for e-commerce brands. We have the results to prove it. So if you're an e-commerce brand and you're watching this and you want to have my team come into your business and scale you with email with a full money back guarantee at any point, so there's basically no risk on your end, book a call with me using the link in the description. It'll be a call with me directly. We will get on. We will talk about your brand, and we can chat and see if we're a good fit to help you scale. So I appreciate it, guys. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Thanks, everybody.